Brighten up those dark mornings. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter. Mornings at the Cabin.
Mornings at the Cabin on your Thursday morning. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter with you. Yeah, it was late nights last night. Late nights, and we're all feeling a little tired. But that's all right. Here we are. Ollie's got a haircut. Lecter's putting on his cans. And I'm over here.
You brought us drinks. Look at you lovely boy.
I woke up late and I didn't have a chance to make myself some breakfast. So I figured I'd just grab some.
You're the first
Nice
one
guy.
here. You brought me a hot chocolate. This can stay.
No. It will not stay. It will not happen again. Maybe. Who knows? You never know. So last night's the big federal debate. Ollie versus 5 MPs. Who came out on top? I think it was Ollie. This, from what I hear, the MPs all lost. This is what I heard.
Well, they're not all MPs.
Well, all the MP candidates, I should say.
They did all right. They did all right. They each had their little moments in the sun. I thought everybody conducted themselves pretty well. We seated them sufficiently far apart from each other that they couldn't get into any actual fisticuffs. That was great.
I would like to see that, actually. Who do you think you'd win in a fight out of the 5 MP candidates?
You know what? I just don't know. Mary Beckett?
Mary Beck, sure.
That bow tie could be a foreign object.
That could be a foreign
It could be a
object.
loaded bow tie.
Well, Michael McDonald's the biggest one, right? I mean, he's the tallest.
Michael McLeod?
Michael McLeod. What did I say? Michael
McDonald from the Doobie Brothers.
That's
is
right.
also pretty big guy.
I want to be your MP.
The Doobie Brothers would win in a fight.
They would
Yes,
win in a fight.
absolutely.
Doobie Brothers versus the 5 MP candidates. Doobie Brothers all the way. Oh, I love Michael McDonald.
Now, Kevin McDonald, that's a different
Kevin
story.
McDonald versus Michael McDonald. I would also pay to see. Ooh.
Be a good throwdown.
K-Mac versus Mike Mac. All right.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast.
Good morning, at the Cabin. Wheeler Lecter with you on your Thursday morning. Ollie's going to sit this one out because he hates the Tragically Hip and our country. That's just the way it is.
Has he ever told you his country's unflattering nickname for the Tragically Hip?
What is it?
The Tragically 4-letter word that kind of rhymes with hip.
I hate the UK. Obviously, well, not obviously. Maybe some of you don't remember. Today is the second. I don't like calling it an anniversary. You know what I mean? Like
Death-iversary?
It's not as good. It's not very good either. We're marking the second year or 2 years since Gord Downey's passing.
Passed away, Siri. No good.
Gord, if you're up there.
we apologize.
Or down there. I mean, depending.
Who knows?
Who knows? He was a rock and roller.
He's a rabble-rouser.
That's right. Screamed a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's been 2 years since he passed. I remember you and I watching the final concert together.
Yep.
And that was 3 years ago.
We cried together,
We
buddy.
cried together. And my dog, like, got up in my lap and was like, what's going on?
What's ailing you, Dad?
What's ailing you? Yeah, we did. And then we went out and had a few pops and did some karaoke.
Yeah.
Got into a screaming match with people
Upset
who I
some
consider
people.
friends now.
Yeah. It's a great night.
It was a great night. But obviously just kind of thinking back and obviously Tragically Hip still plays very much on our station and on other stations as well. It's staple CanCon is what it is.
Absolutely.
And it still resonates just as much as it did when they were touring and alive. And I did see their last show in Edmonton that summer, which was a fantastic show. It was the first time I'd ever see them live. And it was intense because like all these, like as the show kind of progressed, more and more people stood up, more and more people screaming along with every song because Gord's holding the mic out and watching him kind of, he didn't stumble through any of the songs, but he had the list up or he had the lyrics like scrolling on the TV, which a lot of bands do. He didn't usually do it, but he was doing it because he was having problems with his memory.
Yeah.
Because the tumor was kind of taken over.
Yeah.
But it was a fantastic show.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. And watching the show with you on TV, it was an emotional time. It was because he just like, he knew it was the last one. He blew out the tanks.
Yeah.
Like they just blew out the tanks completely. And it was amazing to watch and to keep hearing that music and to keep kind of sharing that feeling is, it's still pretty powerful.
Yeah.
It resonates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No question there. I don't really have a whole lot more to say about that.
You're tearing up as we speak.
Well, it's, it's something, that now it's hard not to reflect on, you know, when you hear, the song that on that last show, if you're a big Tragically Hip fan, there was probably a song that maybe it was the first song, I think, which was 50 Mission Cap.
Yeah.
Who knows? There was probably a song over the course of that night where you lost it.
Yeah.
And you teared up, and there was just no turning back after that.
If you didn't, you're dead inside.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Even if you don't like the hip, you had to like I don't know. Even if you don't like the hip, which a lot of people don't, because I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it is staple CanCon.
Yeah.
And if you listen to something like CJ, like I didn't really listen to the hip until I moved to Calgary, and it was on CJ 92, and that was the station I listened to most. It was on all the time, like every hour. There's a hip song, and they play it all the time. And I started getting into it, and then that's what kind of made me realize later how many of those songs that I really loved. So a lot of people just I don't know. It's weird. Like Tragically Hip is like cilantro. It's just like some people get it and some people just don't like it. There doesn't seem to be an in between. There doesn't seem to be a like, yeah, they're all right. There's like, I don't like the hip, or there's like the hip are part of our, like, woven into our national fabric.
Yeah, well, they're either overplayed and you love it because you think they deserve to be overplayed, or they're overplayed and you don't like it because you think they're a mediocre rock band. Whatever. Music is subjective. We all know this. You can't like everyone. But
let's celebrate mediocrity for a second. Then.
Can we?
Good Lord.
Jeez. But for those, who do love the Tragically Hip, I mean, there's so much. If you just want to look beyond, the couple default songs that the tunes of that you hear every day.
Yeah.
If you were, grew up in a city where there was, a rock radio station. If you look past that, you look into all the lyrics and you look into just like more of the story of Gord Downie and the kind of person he was. They really were and still are just such a remarkable band, and deserve to be held up there in the highest regard of Canadian music without question.
Absolutely agree. So we'll mark this 2-year anniversary. We won't go into it too much, but we'll play a few hip songs. We'll play one right now, which is one of Lecter's and I's favorites, Grace 2.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
Last night, Ollie did it was moderate? Yeah, that's the word, right? Moderated.
Yeah. He moderated his ass off.
That's right. What a moderator. That's right. For the federal election debate last night at City Hall. If you didn't listen to it, well, you're lost. We're never playing it again. We probably will. We'll probably play some clips. And there'll be stories.
12.
What's that?
Sunday at 12. We're playing it again.
Sunday at 12, playing it again. So if you didn't see it, then you got to wait till Sunday.
But you can just watch the Facebook Live again right now.
You could watch the Facebook Live again right now, if you'd like.
So really, we're playing it again.
That's a long watch.
Plenty of options.
Really, there's plenty. Okay, maybe I
But we got
oversold how hard it was to listen to it.
We've got highlights coming up.
That's right. We do have highlights. But so I wanted to ask you a little bit. But you, Lecter, calling out Ollie a little bit.
Well, so I was here last night. Was moderating the board.
That's not
moderating.
No. Operating.
Okay,
you're
operating the board.
Operating your ass off.
The board doesn't talk back.
It doesn't.
Well,
sometimes it does.
Well, that's true.
Hi, board.
I operated last night. The board behaved itself. I operated. We were, of course, doing the Facebook Live at City Hall, and then here we were taking that audio and streaming it onto the Cabin Radio live stream. So I was here just making sure that everything was running smoothly, and so of course I was listening along, kind of in and out as my attention span tends to go.
Yeah.
But I
drifted in and out.
Yeah, that's right. There was one moment though where I couldn't help but have my ears perked up because I was like, did Ollie just tell Luke that his party wasn't going to win? And what do you think of that?
What do you think of that?
I was just like, okay, that seemed cheeky. A little cheeky. So I got the clip right here.
Okay.
Here is last night.
So let's come back to Luke Quinlan and the PPC. I mean, the truth is, Luke, that surely the party is able to fritter away tax revenue like this because it knows it's never going to have to form a government.
No, I think the electorate will make that decision with all due respect on October 21st, Ollie. We never know what's going to happen, and that's how our democratic society works best.
Bit of a nervous laughter in the background.
Oh, yeah, because someone kind of go, whoa. I mean, is your concern that Ollie is showing bias? Because as we know, we are owned by the Chinese. Hashtag stand with LeBron James.
True. Yeah.
So we do have that bias.
Right.
And
Yeah. But
maybe the Chinese don't want the PPC to win.
But other than talking about it, once in a while in the morning show, we try to keep that under wraps.
And absolutely being influenced by it with everything we do. So what is your concern? Ollie wants to...
I was just surprised by, like I said, it kind of caught me by surprise as I was half paying attention.
Yeah.
And I having never moderated a debate myself, I think this was your first time moderating a debate, and so I have to be honest, I was impressed by the gall to ask such a question.
There's two reasons for asking a question like that.
Yeah.
The first reason is,
Gotcha.
I think it's important to be honest in a 90-minute debate.
Absolutely.
That one of the 5 candidates is going to have minimal checks and balances on what they're able to promise.
Yeah.
The NDP and the Greens, who are currently polling at, like, the NDP 18%, Greens 8% nationally, I'm talking about. We don't have any reliable polls in the NWT. But they've got NDP 18%, Greens 8%. There is a chance, depending on the number of seats they win, that they may be involved, potentially could be involved heavily if it's a minority government, in informing the next government and have, to an extent, a controlling say in what shapes Canadian policy over the next 4 years, which means that their campaign, their platform, their pledges will be tested at the federal level, or at least there is a reasonable expectation that they might be. And so there is, whenever a candidate speaks, they have to speak with the knowledge that at some point the electorate might find out whether they meant it or not.
Right. Yeah.
Now, the PPC is polling at 2.6% nationally. It may get 1 seat, according to most seat projections. Maybe it'll get a few more at the end. The likelihood of the PPC right now being an active and controlling part of a Canadian government for the next 4 years is slim to none. And you would have to work very hard to come up with an alternative perspective on that. And so when you have 5 candidates up on a rostrum like that, to my mind, as a moderator, it's important to note when a certain candidate might have more leeway to promise things. And like promising tax cuts, huge tax cuts across the board, and handing all the GST back to the territory, that's a big promise. If the Liberal government or the Conservative government or the parties, I should say, were promising that, we would have a lot of questions.
Yes.
And so it's important to acknowledge that, the PPC hasn't really had to deal with those questions because nobody, frankly, has really paid that much attention to that campaign pledge because there's not an expectation that the PPC will ever have to follow through.
They mostly get negative attention anyway.
So nobody's really followed through on just fact checking that and saying, right, how's it going to roll out? What's it going to be? So it's important in a debate like that to say, well, look, you can make that promise because you're not going to have to keep it.
Yeah.
And see what the candidate answers. And there's many ways that could be answered. And you heard one of those from Luke just there. The other thing is it's important to, from my point of view as a moderator, to match the tone of the candidate. And if you listen to the whole of the debate last night, Luke Quinlan and the PPC were sort of notable for having a more combative tone.
He was fired up.
He was fired up, and he had a more combative tone than the other candidates.
It's the only way they're going to get attention.
And so if you have a candidate who has a more combative tone and it's not being matched by other candidates, then it kind of falls on me as the moderator to essentially, and I'm sort of going to paraphrase this, but if you want to go, then let's go. Like we can, I could
just dangling those mitts at the podium.
Right.
There you want to drop them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, because it's you can't. The alternative to that is to just let 1 or 2 candidates, or however many it is, run the show.
Yeah.
If they're the ones who are always going to be throwing punches out at the other parties and trying to score points, then you can give them the freedom to do that. But at the same time, you can also take the opportunity to escalate your own questions and say, well, right, if we're taking shots at other parties, then let's look at your own platform as well in that same line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's kind of, I guess it's kind of a way of evening the playing field, essentially, right? Where, you got a party who is like less than a year old, and they're, they feel a lot of freedom. Like you said, they're not really expected to do anything remarkable in this election, but they're trying to plant some seeds, get their name known supposedly for future elections should they continue as the PPC party. So they're going to come out swinging, of course. They're going to come out and make their voice heard. And so, yeah, I guess that would be kind of part of your job to be like, hey, we're giving you this equal platform. You got to make sure, like, here's the even playing field. Here's the questions that are going to either kind of make or break whether or not you're just throwing things out there or whether you've got an actual cohesive plan.
And every party last night has an even platform. Whether you're polling at 2% or 30%, you had pretty much the same airtime last night. Yeah. So that being the case, you need to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
In that airtime, no matter which party you're from. And I would hope that we did it reasonably well for all parties. Now, if you're up there and you're answering those questions, then, you need to be accountable, and we need to hear honest answers from you on issues where maybe we haven't had a chance to quiz you before, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, Ollie. You better hope that the PPC doesn't suddenly gain a lot of favor, because there was a question that came up
because I'm an immigrant? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because I'm an immigrant, and you'll be gone. That's right.
There was a question that came up last night about internet, Northwest Tel, and the CRTC, and here was Luke's take on the CRTC.
The CRTC was good intended. It was intended to protect Canadian businesses, but not the Canadian consumer. I want to protect the Canadian consumer, give you more choice in your economy. And if Canadian businesses aren't going to step up, I would totally support foreign markets, whether it be Verizon or whoever, to make sure you have reliable services, like Mary pointed out. Even though businesses rely on reliable bandwidth and internet and those types of services. Thank you.
Just don't disband the CRTC before Cabin Radio gets an FM license, for goodness sake.
The groveling begins already.
Very good, very good. I mean, I don't disagree with that idea. I don't disagree with his, but I mean, again, it's something that he'll probably never have to answer for or ever have to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't mind the implication of bringing in like something like a Verizon or something like that. But a company like that's not going to invest billions in infrastructure to bring greater bandwidth to the north. That's just, for 40,000 people, it's not a good investment for them.
Absolutely. I mean, the key a key tenet of the PPC's strategy for this election is to say it would essentially devolve a lot of power and hand over a lot of power to provinces and territories and the free market to just get things done itself. So the free market will dictate, like, okay, the North needs internet, well, the free market will look after that. And frankly, the reality has shown over the last few decades that the free market does dictate. And it absolutely does. Yeah. The free market wouldn't touch Northern Internet with a barge pole.
Not at all.
Right.
Because
it's a
there's
money
not
loss.
Enough market there
exactly.
to do it.
Yeah.
If you want high-speed internet in all remote communities in the North, so the Liberals are saying by 2030, the NDP is saying in the next few years, it's going to take cartloads of federal money.
Yeah.
Because there is not a company alive that has the money to spend for the far smaller return that you would get from that.
Why is it always when someone mentions the free market, it's always a red flag?
Scenes on the cabin.
Yeah, she was in great pain. Then we cut off her head and drove a stake through her heart and burned it, and now she found peace.
Doctor! Please!
Mr. Harker, I must ask you, as your doctor, a sensitive question. During your infidelity with those creatures, those demonic women, did you for one instant taste of their blood?
No.
No?
No.
Good. Good. Then you have not infected your blood with the same terrible disease that destroyed poor Lucy.
Doctor, you must understand. I doubted everything, even my mind. I was impotent with fear.
I know.
But, sir, I know where the bastard sleeps. I brought him there, to Carfax Abbey.
Scenes from the cabin.
Know the movie? Submit your guess to mailbox@cabinradio.ca or send us a message on Facebook for your chance to win gift certificates to some awesome Yellowknife restaurants, including the Monkey Tree Pub and Steak Restaurant, the Woodyard Brewhouse and Eatery, Flavor Trader, Copperhouse Eatery and Lounge, or Javaroma. Listen to Cabin Radio every weekday to win, or download the Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
Continuing our lively discussion about last night's federal election debate. That good breakfast debate talk. Now, Lecter previously, if you weren't listening, if you're just tuning in now, Lecter previously took Ollie to task for his perceived bias against the PCP party. Pardon me, PPC party. I don't know why I mixed those two up. And just asking Luke Quinlan, listen, your party doesn't have a hope in hell, so obviously you can make all these promises. And Lecter took a little umbrage with that.
Well,
but
someone's got to take this guy to task.
No, I think he had a very, very good explanation.
Well,
as to
of
why.
course he did. He's Ollie Williams.
Well, this is the thing we were talking about off air, is that the PPC, most of the attention they've garnered is incredibly negative. Maxime Bernier with his no more mass immigration billboards, and two of their candidates in Saskatchewan sharing cartoons of Jagmeet Singh dressed as a terrorist.
Right.
So
I would enjoy a party that would advocate for mass migration.
Let's do it.
We're going to introduce rhinos.
That's right.
And then we're going to get them to migrate across the prairies.
Oh.
And finally, people in Manitoba will have something to watch.
Oh, goodness. People in Manitoba need something to watch.
Look, the rhinos.
There's plenty to watch. No mountains in the way. There's barely hills.
You see the rhinos for days.
Lots going on.
Yeah,
out there.
big sky country. Mass migration party. The nomad party. You know what? You vote me in here. Next month I'll be in Edmonton. Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds about right.
More shepherds.
More shepherds. More Chris Shepherd. You got some clips for us from last night's debate?
Well, yeah. So we talked yesterday, leading up to the debates, about how you done down there?
What are you doing?
You're kicking me. This desk is too small.
Your feet are on my side of the bed.
Well, they're long. Not my feet, my legs. Anyway, we talked yesterday leading up to the debates about just how Ollie was going to control these candidates who, of course, were completely out of hand for Lauren McGuinness. He didn't know what to say to control them. That's
right.
So that was going to be Ollie's greatest challenge coming in. So we said, are you going to do the 3 shut ups rule? Mm-hmm. So candidates don't talk over each other. Basically 3 shut ups, and then your mic gets cut off. You didn't implement that, and in fact, you went the opposite way and gave the candidates control over their own mics.
Dangerous.
With consequences.
With disastrous consequences. So it started off with Mary Beckett right at the start in the introductions.
On my far left, I'd like to welcome this evening from the New Democrats, Mary Beckett. Hello. Not that bad. Now, we can't hear you because your microphone's not on.
So that was number 1.
There
Second, Michael McLeod took number 2.
Let's come to Michael McLeod. This is a Liberal commitment by 2030, high-speed connectivity. Other parties say that's too late. It's more than 10 years away. Do you agree with them that it is more urgent than that?
Well, we've already started the investment. We've started programs that would support high-speed internet.
And then the next microphone victim was Michael McLeod again.
Let's go to Michael McLeod. What's the Liberal tax commitment to Canadians and Northerners this election?
We've already done several things in the area of taxes.
There's a beautiful little sigh in there where he's sort of laughing and saying, we've already... and that's the sigh of a man who cannot believe that he has to operate his own microphone.
That's
at the
right.
end of so many weeks of campaigning. Everyone is dog tired. They're just spewing out these lines and I just can't. Asking me to rub my stomach and pat my head at the same time at the end of all. And don't get me wrong, I get it. I completely understand. They must all be exhausted by this point.
Absolutely.
And being able to do both of those things. Jesse, by the way, is proudly doing. He's very proud that he's able to do it.
Oh, baby.
The most coordination I've seen that man display in years.
That is not true. I've beaten you at several physical things. All you got to do is really keep the beat.
Painting a lizard is not really a physical thing. Next.
Well, and that was just a taste of things to come. I mean, because clearly by that point, the microphone technology had tipped its favor. It was not in favor of the Liberal Party as Michael McLeod fell victim again.
Just like the rest of the country.
For the Liberal Party.
Thank you. I just want to take the opportunity because I keep hearing the Conservative Party talk about I just thank you. Sorry about that.
Now, you can kind of hear, and I think we're about to hear Paul Falvo allude to this, you can hear the sound of clothing shuffling rapidly in the background. I will explain shortly what that was after this.
Paul.
I almost left my mic off just because I want to see you do that dance again.
So
So you patented a new dance.
I have the Michael McLeod Please Switch Your Microphone On dance, which I performed with increasing vigor as the evening went on. And in that last clip before that of Michael McLeod, where you can just hear this swooshing of clothing, I was jumping up and down with both feet while making a desperate microphone pushing button motion in his general direction.
Can we get a reenactment?
Yeah,
of that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it looks a little something like...
a little video
Here we are.
Here.
All right.
We'll get this up.
Let's get that video. Get it up on the
cabin.
Instagram.
You got a
page.
video of this here. Well,
Hold up.
okay.
Hold up.
Oh
Hold
my
up.
God, this is.
Hold up.
Oh my.
Okay.
All right. Let's
You ready?
get
Here we are.
your turn your mic on Michael McLeod dance.
So
Go.
this is the Turn Your Mic on Michael McLeod dance.
It's perfect. It's perfect. That makes me want to turn my mic on. That's really good.
Yeah, if you'd been off mic, then I would have been furious.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff all around. So, I mean, it's just a successful moderatorship for you.
I guess so. People, I mean, you always judge your own work, but people liked it, I think, which is good. People
That's good.
seemed like they enjoyed the broadcast. People watched it, which is always kind of the main thing.
People seem to like you.
So it's more that, like, yeah, there's always things you would do differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to get exactly right because you're sort of steering the ship for 90 minutes and you kind of hope it'll work.
Next time we do one of these, we'll do it like we did the territorial election night. I will just roll up to them in the city hall with an iPhone and be like, "Hey, what's going on? What clothes are you wearing tonight? Huh? Yeah, you gonna be in a dunk tank? Woo, yeah."
Funnily enough, the one thing I would have done is I wish there was more of a light-hearted intermission sort of approach because like it was good and there was valuable stuff in there, but it's also 90 minutes of me basically asking questions to people, and like even I, by about 70 minutes in, was a little sick of the sound of my own voice, and so sort of I would have been quite happy to have had Jesse Wheeler related comedy intermissions where like I tagged out and you got to come in and like do 5 minutes of
that'd be
pure
amazing
comedy.
Listen, I was just stepping for Ollie here, adjust my tie.
Because there were definitely some like sartorial elements last night that you would have had some fun with. Yeah, like, there were some clothing related issues for sure that I think you would have enjoyed. So yeah, maybe next time. I don't know how I would get the candidates to agree to this.
Luke,
fake mustache.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slip right by them.
Luke, if elected, do you promise to wear rockabilly clothing on your first day as an MP? Anyone?
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast was recorded before a sort of live, thankfully not in the studio, audience.
Wheeler, Ollie, and not Ollie. Ollie's gone. Wheeler and Lecter with you on your Thursday morning.
He could come back.
He could,
but he won't.
He's gone forever.
Are you keeping it kayfabe again?
I think so. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about with you before we depart for the morning is more and more companies are having different rules surrounding cigarette breaks, right? So people still smoke, which is their right to do so. Blah blah blah. The only thing I don't like about the whole cigarette smoking thing, other than the fact that it's gross, and that's just my opinion. You can smoke all you want.
I mean, cancer's pretty annoying.
Cancer's annoying. Yeah, there's that whole thing. I mean, it's proven to kill you. But I mean, people do that all the time. People, play extreme sports or skydive or race through the streets on motorcycles. Like a death wish is part of our drive to be human. It's one of the things we do.
It's part of what makes us alive.
It's really worth your life. And cigarette smoking is probably the laziest way to have a death wish, but there it is. It's like, I'm gonna slowly do this over like 40 years. I'm going to smell like garbage, and it's going to make me terrible. No, if you smoke,
I got a death wish. Sort of. It's
more like a death kind of like, when it happens. So the one thing I do, so obviously rules have changed over the last few years, right? You're not allowed to smoke indoors anymore in a public space. You're not even really allowed to smoke right outside the door or in your event in like a government building. You got to go 10 meters away from the building to smoke. And of course, smokers have been pushing back against this whole time. Not in like a really serious way. It's mostly just like smokers complaining about it.
Right.
Like there hasn't been like lobbies for cigarette smokers to be able to smoke indoors, or maybe there has been, but I mean, that's just laughable.
Yeah.
because I'm old enough to remember being at the bar when I was 19 and coming home reeking of cigarette smoke and it just being disgusting, just gross. Like we all
missed that era.
We all have to go through this because you decided you want to have a smoke. Like that's the thing that irks me the most is the entitlement. It's just like I can smoke, so you have to smoke with me while I stand here.
Yeah.
But what would always kind of was funny about these things is these rules keep push, and pushing cigarette smokers further away from other people who don't want to smoke.
Right.
Is that people would always be like, what about smokers' rights? And it's like, you don't have any. You don't have any as a smoker, a right to do anything. Like, that's not a right. You've chosen to do this thing that other people abhor, that they don't like. You don't get rights along with that. That's the entitlement that always. Anyway, so a lot of companies now, and I've run into this in work where I've been. It's just like, I'll take my, 2 15-minute breaks and my hour for lunch or whatever at whatever job you were at, right?
Yeah.
You have an 8-hour shift, you get 2 15 minutes, a half an hour or an hour for lunch.
Take a shot of whiskey per break.
Shot of whiskey.
What about my drinker's rights?
What about my alcoholic's rights? Huh? But cigarette smokers, like every hour on the hour, depending on how much they smoke, but usually every hour on the hour, outside having a dart. And I mean, those would be 5 to 10 minute breaks. And it was even worse if the boss or the manager was also a smoker. So they'd go out there with the smokers and they'd smoke 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, an hour, because they're out there smoking. I mean, one of the great things about having a smoke with everybody is that it's a good conversation circle. That's part of it.
Yeah.
We experience the same thing when we smoke cannabis. You stand around, you pass around something and you have a chat. So and that was always kind of annoying that these people would get, because they smoked, they would get like an extra hour a day for breaks.
Right.
So companies starting to crack back against that. There's a company in Texas, a private company in Texas, that is allowing 6 extra days vacation per year for people who don't smoke.
Wow.
That is amazing. And that's to make up for the cigarette breaks that cigarette smokers are taking.
Huh.
Yeah. So they're taking, say, an extra hour a day. Add that all up over the course of the year. I guess that equals 6 vacation days.
Wow. But, of course, everything's bigger in Texas.
That's right.
So I would assume the cigarettes are bigger, too. So they're
Huge.
Probably taking like 20 minute to half-hour breaks for a cigarette.
Yeah.
So the math probably adds up a bit better. You probably get like 3 holiday days here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. They are the size of Cohiba Cuban cigars.
That's right.
There's just the little cigarettes.
That's what I assume.
Huge. But I think that's really cool. Like, I mean, if that doesn't give you motivation to be like, I should stop this disgusting habit that's killing me and making everybody around me smell like crap. I'm not going to do it for my health.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll do it for 6 extra days off.
Yeah.
Like, if that should give you a reason to quit smoking.
It's good motivation.
Right? And I mean, I know what I sound like because I just ate a teen burger for breakfast. I sound like an ass saying people shouldn't smoke. It's disgusting. I still have teen burger pickles on my breath. Here's the thing about the teen burger, though. I'm eating it. You don't have to smell like teen burger when I eat it.
Oh, but we have to smell teen burger.
You do, but you're not. It's not. You're not actually taking any of it in. Whereas with cigarette smoke, if I smoke one, you're smoking a half of one.
Secondhand grease.
The secondhand grease. Well, yeah. When I touch you on the shoulder later, it'll be there. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I think more and more companies are starting to do that. If not 6 vacation days, giving you an extra bit more of a break during the day.
Yeah.
So instead of your 2 50 minutes in an hour, maybe you get like 2 half an hours plus an hour.
Yeah. So if looking after your health is an incentive enough to stop smoking, 6 days off.
Yeah, booyah.
That's all right.
I couldn't possibly quit. It's just too good. Yeah.
Maybe just cut down to half a pack, and then you get 3 days off.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good trade-off. I'll just take the 1 day off.
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca and by following the Mornings at the Cabin Facebook page.